What's up, everyone? Do you ever wonder why you get stuck in life? Why some things you just can't overcome? Maybe you're thinking small. And today we're going to talk about how to think big in our quick fix. I'm Danny. I'm here with my buddy Randy. What's up, Randy?
Hey, Danny.
Yeah, so this is a quick fix on how to think big. We'll give you some tips to help everybody think big. But first, why should we think big?
Well,
I think,
really the sky is the limit. And a lot of times people aren't allowing themselves to really think big enough for whatever problems that may arise. So by changing our mindset, by thinking bigger, sometimes it allows us to get around those problems.
it's funny too. I think, and I know this will sound stupid at first, but I really think, you don't realize what's possible until you try. Because I think so many people convince themselves that they can't do it ahead of time. But the reality is other people are doing it. If you look around, you see other people doing these amazing things, which means you can do it too. And so there's no reason to think small and limit yourself to some life that's not right for you.
Well, that's a great point because I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people who I thought were like brilliant and geniuses and like super successful and these ultra magical, like famous people. And then I meet them and it turns out they're just people. And I asked them,
Yeah.
like, what's it like to be you? And they're like, it's pretty much the same as it was before people knew me. So there's like nothing magical about them. They just decided to pursue something, and that's what happened.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that's why we find all the time that all these people that have everything we think we want still have all the same problems that we have, you know?
Yeah, they're still just as human as we are.
Yeah, it is funny. All right. So how to think big. I'm going to start. This is my week. So my first one is, I think pretty straightforward and practical. Big ideas are realized by small actions. And I think this is one of the things we forget a lot that, if you think big and only focus on the big goal, a lot of times we get overwhelmed. But just keep in mind that that big goal is reached by, like they say, right? Every long journey is made one step at a time. Every wall, like from Will Smith's book, right, is built by one brick at a time. And you can lay that one brick really well, excellently. And that's all you need to do to progress to get the whole thing completed.
Yep.
So keeping that in mind, I think keeps perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And they say like the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but the most important step is always the next one, they say. That's what I've
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
So
That's a
like
good
to
one.
make
I
sure
like
you
that.
keep going, because anybody can take the first step. And I'm as guilty of this as anyone else, where it's very easy for me to start,
Yeah.
but it's like continuing it every day. So now like whenever I'm about to start something, I always make sure I have the strength and endurance to be able to follow through.
Yeah, that's the other thing I think too. Is the problem is like, it's fun to start these things and then you just give up because it seems too hard rather than just continuing that one step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, realizing
Good
that
point.
hard is part of the process. Yeah.
It is.
So my first one would
That's like
be,
10 tips.
I know, right? So my first one is look at things not as how they are, but how they can be. A lot of people get stuck in situations, and especially with their past, with like things that people may have told them or things that people may have called them or jobs that they may have had that were embarrassing or, but like they had to do it because that's what they had to do. Simple as that. But just from what got you from there to here, it doesn't matter because now you're here and you can go wherever you want from here. So you're always at a point where you can change your trajectory. And really, it's noticing that because you'll see people who get stuck in life are the people who carry the story around with them the whole time. They're like, no, but I made this mistake, but I'm not good enough. But they told me I was stupid in school or this and that. And they just stay on the same trajectory. Whereas people who see that anything really is possible, they look at things as they can be, say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let this bad situation hold me back from my goals and my dreams.
I really like that you mentioned like the story too, that idea of like the narrative we tell ourselves. You forget how important that is, right? Like having a story that's positive and one in which you can succeed and you have confidence in yourself is like crucial too. I think I really like that one because it is important. If you only focus on the past, if you get stuck in some story where you can't do things, you won't be able to. That's just how it is, right? You make it the case. That's a good one. That goes well with my second one too, because my second one is use your imagination. Don't limit yourself to what is. And what I was thinking here too was like, not just about like getting stuck, but also just imagining possibilities, even if they seem impossible, and letting your mind kind of just go wild. Because I think a lot of times for myself, at least, getting to that next step of something big and a big life change really takes kind of just imagining every single possibility and letting myself at least in the moment, believe that it's possible, because that helps me get the motivation and the strength of will, right, to keep going, I think.
Yeah, and the truth of it is, you're never going to know until you try, and until you try and keep going and going and going. Like you're never going to know until you're confronted by all these obstacles and you find out you can actually overcome it. Very few people who are successes knew that they were going to be that great success, and very few of the successes actually became successes in the areas that they first started trying. So it's just by continually going, continually trying to do more and better. That's how you get there.
I love listening to like the stories about how people made like these successful businesses, because you learn about all the failures. And I think people, or like, like what was it? Franklin's autobiography, all the things that he did that failed, like how many light bulbs and stuff. Because I think people forget that that's part of the process, but not giving up, that perseverance.
Absolutely. So my second one is believe you can succeed. So belief is such an important part because it's going to give you that resilience that whenever you face difficulties and failures, that you just keep on going. Because even though you may not be seeing success now, believing that it's possible for you if you keep going will enable you to continue to get there. And it'll actually give you like this special secret sauce where like it's almost like once I think it this way because I've heard other people say it this way, and I've found it this way for myself, that like the universe is just going to keep trying to push you down. But once it finds that it can't anymore, that no matter what it throws at you, you're just going to keep on going, then it's like, okay, let's let this one through. We'll get the next one. And like, that's basically what it comes down to, is like, believe that you can succeed, and you just try hard enough and hard enough and hard enough. And you just say, hey, this is something I want. I'm just going to get it. I'm just going to keep going. And eventually you'll get there.
I like that too, because I think people forget that like any success is just wanting it enough. Like it's just committing to it. It might take a long time. It might take a lot of hours, and you might have to say no to a lot of stuff, but you can make it happen. And I think it's a great point. I really like that idea about the universe too, because it feels that way. There is like a point where you break through, and it's like all of a sudden things start falling in place, right? You get all of a sudden you get offers that you didn't think you were ever going to get, or you get opportunities. It's like it just happens.
and it's literally right after that point where you're like, you know what? I don't care. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do it. And then next day, everything opens up.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It's funny. I like that. So my last one then is, what excites you? Ask yourself this question, I think, because I think one of our biggest issues with going for dreaming big, thinking big, and going after those big goals is one of the hardest things is the endurance, the perseverance, and the attitude to keep going. And I think if you go after something that excites you, that really helps keep that motivation going. And it helps you wake up in the morning, and it helps you get ready to go for it each day. And I think that really helps you along that journey. So that is crucial. I think thinking of something that you be willing to spend that much time doing. That's the important thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a great one, because I think that one of the biggest fears we have nowadays is boredom. And so if you're constantly pursuing an excitement, that'll help deal with boredom. But kind of on the flip side of that excitement, same feeling, but just a different type of emotion with it, is fears. Go after your fears, and that'll be another type of excitement. And plus, like, oftentimes the best things in life occur right on the other side of fear. So that could be a great second part to it.
And we're usually afraid of it too, because it's something we really want, or it's something, it's a life.
Because what if we get it and we're disappointed? Yeah,
exactly.
Yep, been there. Yeah. So my last one is don't sell yourself short. And I think I know myself, I'm guilty of this. I think a lot of people may be guilty of this as well. It's like, we know what we want, but we think it's not possible for us because we're not them. Like, everybody wants to be as rich as Elon Musk, but they're like, oh, I can't. He's Elon Musk. I'm me. And it's like, how do you know? You could have been destined to be the richest person on the planet, but because you're not even giving a try, you don't have a chance. Or it's like, you see the most beautiful girl you've ever seen and you want to go talk to her, but you're like, oh no, she's out of my league. How do you know? You could be exact perfect guy that she's looking for. Like, there's no possible way you can read her mind. You're like, no, but I know this because I see the guys that she hangs out with. And she's like, well, what if she thinks they're all creeps? Like, what if she's looking for a genuine guy like you? How do you know? You can't read minds. But selling yourself short is one of the surest ways to make sure you don't get what you want. So you're not better than other people, but you're just as good as anyone else. So make sure you don't sell yourself short.
I like that too, because it reminds people too that you can do anything anybody else is doing. I think that's like one of the most important things. If other people are doing it, you can definitely do it if you want it bad enough. And I think it also reminds us too, like, our self-confidence and stuff, it's all just attitude. You can convince yourself, you can almost trick yourself into having it. And then you will have it once you start doing things that are consistent with being confident, I think. It just comes along with, with territory.
And even if other people aren't doing it yet, still doesn't mean it can't be done.
Yeah.
There was a time when they thought running a 4-minute mile was impossible. There was a time when they thought harnessing electricity in a bulb was impossible, but it happened. So like, just because it's not happening yet doesn't mean it can't. Don't sell yourself short. Don't limit yourself. And that's how you think big.
Nice. I like that. That was perfect. I'm glad you wrapped it up at the end too.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. So that's how to think big. No one should think small ever again. Go after those big goals, make them happen. This was a quick fix, a short episode, just some tips. Please check us out on YouTube, subscribe, click notifications, share it with your friends. It helps us out a lot. Check us out on all the podcast apps. We're available on there. We'll be back later this week with a full-length episode. But until then, later, Randy.
Later, Danny.